We've all turned up the radio to hear Brother Jimmy Lakey, from coast to coast and shore to shore. Now raise your voice. Oh, let us all Jimmy Lakey, get out of bed. Jimmy Lakey, raise your voice. Jimmy Lakey, Lakey, hey, can't live without it with Jimmy Lakey. Jimmy Lakey.
Well, hallelujah. There's the choir singing to us this morning. Glad to have you all here on the program. Sorry for the delay. Had a little problem with our Twitter feed this morning. Our streaming applications, we're saying Twitter needs to reconnect. So good morning, all of you on X and or Twitter. We're glad to have you, and went extra out of the way to make sure that you got to see the show today at Jimmy Lakey on the Twitter machine. So thank you, and you're welcome. I did it all for you. The reason we do this every morning is really just for you. It's not for us. All right, good morning, Jimmy and crew, says Ray on the YouTube channel. See that, how that works? Rich says, good morning from Missouri. Deer season is in full swing here. I was in Missouri this past weekend, my friend, and beautiful weather it was. I was not in a place where there was deer hunting. I was football hunting, watching football games. So anyway, good morning to you, Missouri. There we go from the Arkansas, River Valley of Arkansas. It's a gray morning there. Is there deer season there? I don't know, but it's deer season in Missouri. Full swing, the Rich says. Anyway, wherever you're at, you can see where you're at. Those Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, they're all jumping in. Anywhere you're at, you make a comment in the under the video stream of this show that's live, and it will appear in our studio. And then all of a sudden, what's going to happen is producer Chad is going to merit those things and rate them. And anything below like just total crap is going to pretty much end on the screen. As you can see, the comments come in throughout the course of the program. It pretty much, we have very low standards. If we didn't have low standards, I'm not sure we would have any at all. That's why I'm the host of the show. So anyway, good to have all of you here. What is it, Tuesday? The Tuesday, the 18th day of November, year of our Lord 2025. 2025. And we are barreling towards 2026. So I'm trying to kind of get myself in the habit of thinking of that. Some great news stories coming up to get to you this morning. We may be having some breaking news throughout the course of the program about the Epstein files being released. Should the Epstein files be released? I've said yesterday, and I've said before, I think one of the most tactical errors of the Trump administration as far as communication, they had a few blunders early on, was the campaign speech about the Epstein files, release them, and then Pam Bondi going on national television a couple of times saying things like, we've got to, they're on my desk, I'm going to look at them tonight, and then the next morning, well, that's not the right thing on my desk, they were hiding them in New York, and all these things are these things that Pam Bondi had, and yet then she didn't have them, and then Donald Trump comes out and says, this is all a hoax, there's nothing to see here. I don't know what, it just, none of it makes sense. And now the House of Representatives has decided they're going to vote today a resolution that would demand the Department of Justice release everything they have. Now, there will be a few caveats in there. Likely, it seems like Epstein was probably an aide to the intelligence agency, either this country or another country, and anything about national security will not be released, but the flight logs, etc., will be released. I think it was a blunder on the Trump administration that made this story a bigger deal than what it needed to be. I think Pam Bondi communication and the whole thing has been a debacle. But I'd say release the whole dang thing. Let us see what we can find. And it was a mistake on the Trump administration's part of just a communications error that you can't come out and say something's a hoax that for many years and months, everybody knows it's not a hoax. And you've even campaigned that you're going to release these files. So watch out for the Epstein files getting dropped. It's going to get a resolution in the House. They're expecting it to be pretty much a bipartisan resolution. We'll talk more about this with over 400 votes. There's 435 votes in the House. So they could be unanimous. And at that point, it's going to go over to the U.S. Senate and see if they pass it. And we shall see. So the Epstein files are the breaking news. There are already some fallouts happening. Former president of Harvard says he feels ashamed. A congresswoman from the Virgin Islands area. She was actually in kind of Epstein's congressional district, if you will. That's where the island was at, the Epstein Island. Comes out that she was texting and emailing, texting Jeffrey Epstein while he was in jail during a congressional hearing, feeding him the questions and getting answers and asking, what should I ask here? So there's a Democrat corruption as well. Also, the Clintons, Larry Summers, the whole list of people are already kind of starting to have some fear and trepidation that this actually may get released here real soon. Also, weird Trump, anybody remember the Trump shooter that shot him in Butler, Pennsylvania and missed by the hand of God and clipped his ear but didn't hit him in the head? Weird tie-ins. You're getting a lot of these strange things that are happening. Some of these mass shootings, we've learned that people have been tied into transgenderism. You had the Nashville shooter. You have some other trans things going on. And the shooter in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the shooter of Charlie Kirk, alleged shooter, you're supposed to say that, they have some very strange ties. We'll get to that together. Some very strange, I would call it ties or interest or commonalities. And we'll talk about that here this morning as well. I have a Christmas question for you. I know we're not even at Thanksgiving yet, but I complained yesterday that so many people are actually putting up their Christmas decorations. I was driving yesterday through, I'll tell you where I was at. If you're in Colorado, I was leaving Lafayette, Colorado, and I was cutting over towards the Interstate 25 area, north-south corridor if you're out of the state, and I had to come through Erie, Colorado, the home of famous people like producer Chad. And so I'm driving through an Erie part of Erie, and of course the Colorado is there, you're getting close to the mountains there. There's some hills, and I come down through this street, and I look up on the hill, and lo and behold, it looks like half a neighborhood is already lit up with Christmas trees. And I thought those people are getting cold in their stocking. They should not have their Christmas lights. I mean, the whole hill was halfway lit up with the lights. Now, in Christmas season, it will be more, but a lot of people already have their lights up. So I'm going to give you the honor of asking you a Christmas question. And some of you do know you're on my naughty list if you already have your outside lights turned on for Christmas. I'm just not a fan of that. I don't need year-round Christmas. Thank you. I love Christmas, the message of it, but sometimes when you do too much, you lose the emphasis on it. I like kind of a streamlined approach. Let's get through Thanksgiving first. Now, I talked to a guy yesterday that put his Christmas tree up because he's leaving on Friday to Australia, and they'll be gone on a little holiday and a vacation. When they get back, they want their tree to already be up. That's forgivable. That's okay. I understand that. But the full-on manger scene, baby Jesus, Rudolph, and Santa Claus, St. Nick on your front yard and lights up there, it's too early for that. You wait till after Thanksgiving, period, the end. Don't question me. I'm right. You could be wrong on this one. But I have a question for you on Christmas. Do you have a real tree or do you have a fake tree? That is your question of the day that you can respond in all the platforms we're in. The question of the day is, do you have a real tree or a fake tree? The reason I ask said question is because there's information out there that says most Americans have kind of given up on the real trees. Only 17% of Americans actually say that they use real trees anymore. They're just not into them anymore. They skipped them. Only 17% of Americans. It's an interesting stat because, the traditional holiday fun was you go down to the Christmas tree lot. And if you really do the real tree, you might go the week of Christmas so that it doesn't dry out on you. Depending on your climate, like Colorado, it dries out really quick and it leads to house fires, so be careful. But do you have a real tree or a fake tree? That's the question I ask you. It's real simple. And if you'd like to opine as to why the real one's better or why the fake one's better, feel free to do that. But do you have the real tree or fake tree? Growing up, I remember one year we had a real tree, and after that, we always had fake tree. I always had a fake tree. But there's a poll by the American Christmas Tree Association found that fake trees are now the overwhelming favorite. 83%. That's a big number. When 83% of Americans can agree on something, it's a real big number. 83% of people who plan to put up a tree this year will use a fake one. Just 17% will buy a real Christmas tree. It's not a new trend. It's just crazy how it's changed. If you're putting up a real Christmas tree this year, you're probably one of the few people who are going to even go to that trouble. 83% of people putting up a tree will use a fake one. 17% or 1 in 6 people will buy a real one. Fake trees have been the preferred option now for over a decade, and real ones just keep losing more and more ground. Every year, fewer and fewer people don't want the real tree. Is it the mess they make in the house? Is it just the problem of transporting them? I'm not exactly sure. But fake trees have become preferred for over a decade now. Real ones lose more and more ground every year in this very survey. And one quote in the survey says the data confirms that artificial trees have become the standard in American holiday decorating. They say the main reasons are cost, convenience, and safety. You can reuse the same tree. You don't have to deal with pine needles everywhere in your house. And there's a lower chance of your tree catching on fire and burning down your house. That's a positive one. So give me your thoughts. Real tree or fake tree? Are you the 1 in 6 people in America that actually might put up a real tree this year? Feel free to let me know. Rachel jumps in. We have a fake tree because the real ones have gotten so expensive and not even so plentiful. Todd says I have a fake pre-lit tree. Scott says they have a fake tree for the last 20 plus years, and it goes on from there. Scott also says growing up in the farm in Iowa, we had a patch of evergreens that we said that we sold Christmas trees from. Yeah, that's all these Christmas tree lots that go up, and they're not maybe as plentiful as they used to be. A lot of those people, very seasonal, and some groups are making one big fundraising event of the year, and people just not buying the real trees anymore. I remember as a kid, I was about 7th, 8th grade, middle school, and the church that I attended decided to have a Christmas tree lot. And I thought that was the coolest thing, to have a Christmas tree lot. We were in the downtown area of where I grew up, and had a fire going out there and Christmas music pipe in. And I loved to sell. I was out there selling 7th or 8th grade, selling people the Christmas trees. And we were raising money for our church and for our youth group. And I thought it was fascinating because there was a small camper trailer that someone had put on site. And usually at night, someone would stay in that thing. And I thought it would be the coolest thing to sleep on the Christmas tree lot, but I wasn't old enough to be there, so I couldn't do it. And I still look at, there's a Christmas tree lot at a place that I go to. It's going up. They have the fencing up, and they're getting ready to load in the Christmas trees. Last year, I do remember they had a whole stack of them left over in the Christmas tree lot. I felt kind of bad, especially if that was a fundraiser, because they had already purchased the Christmas trees. But every year on this Christmas tree lot that I see all the time, they have a camper trailer. And to this very day, I'm going to share this first time ever right here. To this very day, I've always thought it would be cool, and I've contemplated this, doing a Christmas tree stand, a shop, a Christmas tree lot for River's Promise, and I would stay in the camper the whole time. I just think, I'm not a camper, but I just thought that'd be kind of cool to sleep in the middle of a parking lot like that, but not be homeless and actually have a camper trailer. I thought it'd be cool. And if I ever had a River's Promise Christmas tree lot, I'm telling you, I'd sleep in the camper trailer just because I think that'd be kind of fun. I wanted to since I was a sixth grader, seventh grader at the church Christmas tree lot, to stay all night of the Christmas tree. I've also thought the very same thing. Fireworks. A lot of places have charities that run fireworks stands around the 4th of July. And if you notice, a lot of times there's a camper trailer or a motor home that's parked there, and someone stays on site for safety and security. And I've always thought, I don't really want to sell fireworks in the 4th of July season. I want to celebrate the 4th of July, but I'd like to sleep in the camper trailer. I don't know why that fascinated me. Oh, wow, you can sleep in the camper trailer? That's going to be great. The motor home, someone bring out the Winnebago. Jump in that thing. So anyway, artificial trees or fake trees. Let me know what your reality is at your house. Jim says artificial trees, ever since bringing a spider infestation into the house with the real one. That would be sucky. I've never thought of that. There could be spiders. You infest your whole house with spiders. That would not be good. And I don't think you want to spray chemicals on it because that would dry it out further. Yeah, you got to be careful of that, Jim. At least you didn't have a squirrel hiding in the tree. That would be even worse. That'd be like a Ray Stevens song, The Day the Squirrel Went Berserk, in your living room. So at least, Jim, you only got spiders, and they're hard to see. All right, give me your thoughts. By the way, artificial for me. We have an artificial, also have a pre-lit tree. And I have, good times, we've had 2 pre-lit trees and 2 fake trees. I have an entryway when you come in the front door. There's a little nook with a staircase that goes up, and I like to put a tree there. And then it got to be too much work. I have a 12-foot tree or something. I don't know. It's big. It's a big space. And I like to put it there, but it's just too much work decorating 2 trees. So now we have the smaller tree that goes in the main living area, since it's just my son and I, and we'll decorate that tree once he comes home for the Christmas holidays, which is early to mid-December. Question of the day. I've been putting up a fake one, Stacy says. The real ones are pretty. When I was young, my parents would take me to pick a real one. I had a friend in Colorado that backed up to a national forest, and I don't know if it's legal, but he said their Christmas tradition his entire life was going out into the national forest and picking a tree. Father and brothers would go pick a tree and haul that thing back into the house. I don't know if that's legal, so I'm not going to say where is that, but their home and their neighborhood backed up to a national forest, and they'd go thin out the forest a little bit every year and take a tree home for the Christmas holidays. They didn't have to buy it. They just took it. I'm not telling who it is because maybe, I don't know if that's legal or not. I never thought of it until I said it on the program here. All right, that's your question of the day, real tree or fake tree. And I still want to kind of think, now I'm thinking about that camper trailer and that motor home, and then I'm thinking, maybe, is there still time to do a River's Promise Christmas tree lot? And could you see it every morning? I'm out there dressed up like a Christmas tree salesman, and I'm doing the show live from the Christmas tree lot. It could be amazing. We should have planned ahead, and I would have done it because I don't know what it was. There was this camper trailer, motor home in one instance that you're just somebody would stay in it, and I thought that'd be kind of cool to sleep in downtown or sleep in the parking lot of the store. I just thought it'd be cool. I don't know why that fascinated me, but it really did. All right, let's come back to the Epstein files, shall we? I think we shall. Now we've talked about something pure and holy and righteous like Christmas. Let's come back to the non-pure, the non-holy, the non-righteous Epstein files that are possibly going to be released out today. Here is what we know about the Epstein files that are possibly coming out. The GOP has finally endorsed behind it. They went through a piece that they wanted to get it out, and then President Trump said this is a hoax, and so Republicans fell in line and decided not to. But now with President Donald Trump endorsing the push to release the Epstein files, top House Republicans, including chairs Jim Jordan of Ohio and James Comer, are quickly now lining up behind the bill, according to Politico. Further growing, a number of Senate Republicans are now open to voting for the measure in light of the president's about face, according to the report. A vote could come as early as today in the House. Jim Jordan says, I think everyone will vote for this today. He said, let's get this ridiculous thing past us. James Comer, chair of the oversight panel, said, I think everybody's going to vote for it, adding this is just a show vote. I think the Department of Justice has turned over what they're legally allowed to turn over. So there is that. A lot of people have this expectation that they're going to vote and something's going to change. Comer says, I think the Department of Justice has turned over what they're legally allowed to turn over. Because judges have already said they can't release everything, just throw it out there, because some of it is investigation, some of it is in speculation, some of it is behind closed doors, some of it is national security. The legislation compels a full release of all the Epstein investigative files, including federal records and communications. Supporters say transparency is overdue. Critics warn that sensitive material could affect the ongoing case and privacy concerns. Trump reversal on late Sunday came just days after a vote in the House the House secured enough petition signatures to force a vote. It's a rare moment in which House Republicans broke from the president. And then the president said, okay, I'll go with it. Let's do this thing. So what do you think is happening with these Epstein files? Do you think we're going to get any more? James Comer says the Department of Justice might have already released everything they can, but we shall find out exactly what happens. There was this proposal this morning, procedural vote, and it's going to merge some other stuff together, sponsored by a bipartisan representative, Thomas Massey, Republican from Kentucky, and Ro Khanna, the Democrat from California. According to the report, they're moving together. Press conference, I think, this morning, in which Ro Khanna was there with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican and Democrat. They had some of the victims of Epstein and the Epstein Island there standing, going to give their testimony. They're thinking this stuff should be released. So if it all clears, the House is going to move right this morning to pass debate and final vote on the Epstein files today. And leaders are floating another option that bring the bill to the floor under the suspension of the rules that will fast track it, but that will also demand a 2/3 support. So we'll find out what happens in the parliamentary procedures in the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. But do you think we're going to get any more information about the Epstein files? I'd love to have you. Give us your thoughts on that, because Trump says release the Epstein files. Republicans say, yeah, now we're back on that. And again, this was a blunder, I think, by the Trump administration. Pam Bondi blew this one, and I don't understand the reason for it. I don't understand why the hype and the buildup, and then said, oh, never mind, it wasn't on my desk. I mean, she clearly said on an interview that it was on her desk right then, and she was going to look at it and get that thing out. And then the next day, I'm not going to release it the next day because it's not on my desk. Well, something doesn't make sense here. So I'm not sure what was being covered up. I'm not sure what the back channel conversations. I'm sure a lot of people speculate that Jeffrey Epstein was a intelligence asset for maybe the U.S. government, maybe someone else, but a lot of folks think he's a CIA agent or an asset, and therefore there's a lot of wonderment about who Jeffrey Epstein was and what are in those files. So everybody stay tuned, but you're going to have an Epstein vote coming up here real soon. Speaking of the Epstein files and the presidential change of mind, Larry Summers. Everybody know that name? Larry Summers was once a former Harvard president, and he was also the Treasury Secretary for Willie Jeff Clinton. Headline, Larry Summers steps back from public roles after the House release of Epstein correspondence. So they did release some correspondence, and former Harvard president and Clinton cabinet member says he's, quote, deeply ashamed of continued communication with the disgraced financier. Larry Summers, the former president of Harvard, has announced he will step back from public commitments, according to the Ivy League College's student newspaper. In a statement released yesterday to the Harvard Crimson, Larry Summers says it was part of an effort to rebuild trust and repair relationships with the people closest to him. He's going to pull back and try to make amends with everybody that he might have ticked off with these Epstein correspondence. The announcement follows the release of 7 years of worth of correspondence between Summers and Jeffrey Epstein by the House Oversight Committee. They released the files and said, hey, look at this. The documents show the two men continuing to exchange messages as late as July 5th, 2019, which was just one day before Epstein's arrest on new sex trafficking charges. So they were in contact up until the final arrest of Jeffrey Epstein. In the hundreds of messages released, Summers appears to place trust in Epstein, confided in him about his pursuit of a romantic relationship with a woman that he described as a mentee. He's the mentor, she's the mentee. Among the released messages also was one from 2018 in which Epstein describes himself as Summer's wingman as he continued advising Summers on relationships for months. But Summers put out this statement that says, "I'm deeply ashamed of my actions and recognize the pain they have caused. I take full responsibility for my misguided decision to continue communicating with Mr. Epstein." Summers holds several other roles in professional life. He's a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress, a paid columnist with Bloomberg, and a paid board member of OpenAI. But Larry Summers says his public facing is going to be pulled back here, at least for a period of time. So there's one biting the dust here. Unrelated or maybe correlated to Epstein is the Clintons. Of course, Willie Jeff Clinton was known to have allegedly visited Epstein Island on numerous times, probably just trying to hide out from Hillary so she couldn't find him. Maybe nothing nefarious on the island, just wanted to get away from Hillary. Listen, if you're married to Hillary, you'd want to get away as well. Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel have produced to Congress a new cache of documents showing that Bill and Hillary Rodham Kankles Clinton Foundation collected donations from foreign and domestic interest seeking influence, raising fresh concerns that such evidence was kept from federal prosecutors who tried to investigate pay-to-play allegations against the former First Family a decade ago. Officials are telling JustTheNews.com that the documents were transmitted to the Senate Judiciary Committee in recent days and details numerous instances of foreigners and even a U.S. defense contractor seeking to curry favor with the Clintons through donations to their family charity, including when Hillary Clinton served as Secretary of State and Bill Clinton was president from 93 to 2001. So new documents have been released to the Justice Department saying they didn't really tell you the truth back when this was being investigated. For some reason, the truth was not be told. The investigators pulled back because it was the Clintons. The documents make it clear that there was an effort to obstruct legitimate inquiries into the Clinton Foundation by blocking real investigation by line-level FBI agents and DOJ field prosecutors, keeping them from following the money, says one official directly familiar with the document. So it looks like, whether or not a statute of limitations or what the crime was, it looks like there's going to be some truth coming out when it comes to Bill and Hillary Clinton and their pay-to-play scandals that really probably were very true, and yet for some reason our law enforcement teams and law enforcement agencies I guess decided not to pursue it, or were not allowed to pursue it because of the name Clinton attached to it. The only royal family or presidential family you can go after in America, the only one that's ever held to account or prosecuted or charged with anything, is a Republican, especially if your last name is Trump. Evidently, the get out of jail free card has been passed out to people like Barry Hussein Obama, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, all of his family, Willie Jeff Clinton, Hillary Rodham Kankles Clinton. All this thing has been a grand conspiracy to keep these people, at least in theory, with their noses clean and no charges filed against them. But if it was Donald Trump, if he sneezed wrong on a Thursday, then doggone it, that was violation of some law, and they're going to charge him with it. So that's an interesting story coming out of the Justice Department as well. And we shall see if anything happens to it now that it's out there, that the Clintons and the Justice Department and the FBI, the CIA, somebody was covering up the pay-to-play investigation and not letting things see the light of day. All right, your question of the day, my friends, is real simple. Do you have a real tree or a fake tree? And why am I so fascinated by working your Christmas tree lot and sleeping in the camper trailer? I just think that would be cool. I thought that since I was a kid. It's a lifelong bucket list that I've never been able to do, and I now got to add it to the bucket list. Delilah, next year we're going to do a Christmas tree lot. Why am I saying we? You'll probably be fired tomorrow. Just kidding. Tuesday, the 18th day of November, and when I say Tuesday, you say Carno. I say Tuesday, you say Carno. With chance like that, I could be a protester on the streets if I hated ICE, but I'm not a protester on the streets. I'm just a fan of I Say Tuesday, you say, very good, Carno. I love it when you guys participate with me on the program. It's Carno Tuesday, and we call it Carno Tuesday because Laura Carno joins us. I say Tuesday, you say Carno. Yeah. Hello, Miss Carno. How are you?
Good. I think it's interesting that you have this fantasy life of staying in a camper, because after 5 months and 9 days living in a trailer, I would like to disabuse you of that fantasy.
I would like to say it's not just going on. Like, I don't want to go up to the mountains and go camping like at a KOA lot or something. I don't want that. It's the Christmas tree lot. It's the hustle. The Christmas tree lot they had at the church as a kid was right on the main drag and all the traffic, and it was an intersection. I thought, wow, nobody ever gets to sleep here. And I thought that'd be a cool place to sleep. I don't want to go camping. I don't want to live in a camper trailer for 5 months. No, thank you there. But a couple of days, maybe.
Okay.
I could do it. I thought it'd be interesting way to raise
All
money.
right.
I thought the same thing about fireworks lots when they do fundraisers. I'm like, man, these people are living it up in that trailer. I'm just like, this is
Yeah,
fantastic.
but yeah, I think when it's a short period of time, there probably is an allure to it, because it's an adventure.
Yeah.
I'll just leave that there.
Yeah,
I'm
I
ready.
want to
I'm
go on an
ready.
adventure. I want to go on an adventure. You signed up for living hell. There's difference here.
It's temporary living hell, but it is longer than the Christmas tree lot. Temporary.
Are you going to be in your home by Christmas, or are you still going to be homeless living in the tree lot?
Potentially.
Potentially.
Yeah.
If you're still in the camper trailer, living out on your 40 acres with a mule and whatever you have out there, are you going to put a Christmas tree in the trailer?
Well, the Christmas tree, the fake Christmas tree, is in the pods. So they're not here. Yeah, they're stored.
The storage pods. Yeah.
The
I was thinking
storage
AirPods.
pods.
I'm like, how did you do that? Sorry.
Yeah, that would be magical.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
we're definitely fake Christmas tree people. So much easier on the setup, the tear down, the maintenance, no watering. And as
yeah.
a crazy cat lady, cats always climb them. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
so, it's if it falls down, it's, not going to spill all the water.
Not going to spill the water. That's it. And are your cats climbers? Do you have cats on your cabinet in your kitchen and the top of the refrigerator?
They're 18 years old, and so they don't really climb
So
much
you're
anymore.
blaming it on age. You're blaming it on age. But back in their prime, back when they weren't knocking on their ninth life of 9, they were climbers. You allowed that to happen.
They were climbers, but not on kitchen counters. But I would occasionally find cat paw prints on the kitchen counters when we got back from somewhere. So
Okay,
they knew that it was
Good.
wrong. But if we were gone, they were like, let's check this out.
Let's check this out up there. But now, now they're floor bound. They're just kind of hovering around like on the floor. Well, and so probably not going to climb the tree either.
Not today. But we'll get new kittens eventually. So.
Wow, you just keep signing up for more punishment. You sign up for 6 months of living in a camper trailer and another lifetime of cats. I don't know what to do with you, Laura.
And I'm still happily married, by the way. After this time in a little shoebox together, we're still happily married. So
maybe you should go on a vacation. Maybe you should spend this 5 months somewhere else.
No, because the whole benefit is being at the construction site and walking through it all the time, and what's this person doing, and
it'll feel more like an adventure if you just pretend it's a fireworks stand instead of a construction site. It's an adventure. You pretend it.
Okay, I will suggest that to my husband.
Yeah, see if that works. I'm just trying to help Bill out. That's all I'm trying to do here, Laura. All right, Laura Carno, the Epstein files. I think it was a blunder by the Trump administration. They played it up, then it's a hoax, and now they're back and forth. I don't know if we're going to get any information, but give me your thoughts. I say release it all, unleash it all. I think it was a blunder by the Trump administration to downplay it after they upplayed it. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree on your idea that they should not have done it the way that they did it, saying released, oh look, there's nothing here, oh look, there's nothing on my desk after all. That was just poor communication strategy. If it was a strategy, it could have been a tripped and fell into it kind of thing. But if the Democrats wanted it released, they had 4 years of the Biden administration to release it. But what I think is funny, and I try not to ascribe 3D chess to people because I think it just takes way too much planning. But the fact that that Donald Trump was saying, nah, we're done. We don't need to release them. And it caused this Democrat uptick in release the files. And now he's saying, okay, let's release them. And the first few people to fall publicly are Democrats. But yeah, I say release them. I mean, transparency in government is paramount. And if a bunch of Republicans fall because they were doing things they shouldn't have been doing, good. Let's clean out the Republican ranks too. If there are bad people in the Republican ranks, I don't care. But yeah, let the chips fall where they may, and then let's stop talking about it. Get everything out. Get all the people, with their, head hung low in a press conference saying how sorry they are, and hopefully their wives walk away from them after that. And let's stop talking about it and get onto the business of the American people.
Everybody's waiting for that tawdry list of people that went to the island or flew in the plane. Everybody's wanting the tawdry list. The most troubling part of the conversation, I think, long term, is that they're saying some parts of this were going to have to be redacted because it's likely he was an intelligence asset. And so I'm like, forget the tawdry list of sleazy politicians. We all know they're sleazy anyway. Why was he an intelligence asset? How was the CIA using him? If they knew he was an asset for a foreign country, how many politicians were interacting with him as a foreign? The whole intelligence aspect really blows my mind. And it doesn't get a lot of coverage because you have to ask if he was one of our assets. Why was our U.S. government employing his services as an asset, especially knowing what he was doing, and knowing what he was doing, was that done with full complicit behavior with the U.S. government? That's the most troubling part, rather than the list of nasty people that did nasty things.
Yeah, and somewhere in that deep state bureaucracy that has lasted through different presidential administrations would be my guess if that's true. And for folks that need help connecting those dots, what they would do is entice certain people to do certain things that would be very embarrassing if it came out, and then they blackmail them into voting the way that they need them to vote. So it's pure political corruption, mixed with all of the tawdry stuff. So yeah, I'm with you. I want everything out, and if there's national intelligence secrets out there. Some things are not as secret as others, and can potentially be out there, but let's get this out, rip the Band-Aid off, and let's get past it.
Yeah, that's the bothering thing is, no one really knows. If you look up Jeffrey Epstein, no one knows how he got his money, and no one knows how he became a super billionaire. No one really understands it. They don't really know. His family can't explain it. And he's a rich guy. Maybe he was making money off the intelligence community. There's just so much to the story besides the tawdry Epstein list of who was this guy and what role did he play in certain things. So I hope we get that out, but I'm just not sure we will, because the deep state still controls all this stuff.
Yeah, and there's one other thing on this story, Jimmy, is Marjorie Taylor Greene did a press conference just earlier this morning with the victims, and here's what I wonder: they're standing with, I don't know, a dozen or more victims behind her alleged Epstein Island victims. Why don't they just release the list of the people they met there? They say they were there. They say that they were, doing things while underage with powerful men. I'm sure they know who they are. I'm sure they've seen their pictures. Just, that's what that press conference should have been. And the government can release the confirming or denying documents. I don't know. Maybe they're afraid for their safety, but I just like watching that press conference. I'm like, if y'all know who the people are,
say their names.
Yes.
That's a fantastic point, that the information is out there. Someone holds that information. Just because it's not an official government document doesn't mean that somebody couldn't tell. But it is fascinating to find a member of Congress was texting with him during a congressional hearing.
Yeah.
That's just creepy. To find that Larry Summers, former president of Harvard, was like, oh, sorry about that. I just, because he's evidently gone to the island a couple of times, and God knows what they do there. But
well, he was mentoring somebody, obviously.
Yeah, he was a yeah, he's one of his mentees, his
Yeah.
mentee.
Yeah. I think it's a different definition of mentoring than I'm accustomed to.
Yeah, it is it's different than I am. I'm different than I am. Delilah may be familiar with that kind of mentoring, but I'm not. I just say
Leave Delilah alone.
she's not paying attention to the show, so I can say anything I want. All right, let's take another topic here. Laura Carno is my guest. Oh, by the way, before I get to the other topic, Faster Colorado, you just got a grant. Congratulations. Talk about Faster Colorado and the big time grant you got.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was interesting. There was a grant available through the Colorado Office of School Safety, and it is to train law enforcement to respond to school shootings. So, what our normal work that we do is training the armed school staff who work in the schools every day. But this was a grant to train law enforcement to respond to school shootings. And because we have trained law enforcement before, we were eligible for that. And as a 501c3, we were eligible for that. So we applied for that. We got a grant of over $117,000. And what we're going to be doing with it between January and June of next year, we're focusing on rural law enforcement agencies that don't have access, as much access to the Denver metro training opportunities that are often afforded to law enforcement. But we're going to be doing all kinds of classes mostly in the rural areas that will help them not only get more practice and techniques in responding to school shootings, but also to understand what the complexities are if they show up to a school that has armed school staff, because we want to make that the safest possible interaction for everyone. So, this really, to me, it's a stamp of, this is an organization, Faster, that really knows what it's doing. Our instructors are all active duty law enforcement instructors, so this is the kind of stuff they do in their day jobs. So we're really happy to have the confidence of the state of Colorado in awarding us that grant. So
Well,
if anybody,
congratulations.
thanks. Yeah. And if anybody knows law enforcement in Colorado, it does need to be Colorado. Specifically, the first spots will be available to those rural agencies. If you know anybody in that situation, make sure they sign up for our newsletter at fastercolorado.org. We'll be publishing all of the details of this and schedules through our newsletter. So yeah, we're really excited about it.
Congrats. That's a good chunk of money, and we know you'll put it to good use. I'm looking at the comments in the chat rooms here. Ray's on YouTube this morning, and Ray says, Jimmy, he's very concerned about me, and I have an idea to solve this. If I get that camper trailer at the Christmas tree lot, Jimmy, I'd worry about a homeless person coming after someone for moving into their territory while staying on that tree lot. And I'm just going to have Laura Carno come and be the guard. She could send one of your Faster teachers, and they're ready to protect me there on the Christmas tree lot. I think that's Ray, I appreciate your concern for my safety, but Laura's going to look out for me. She's armed and dangerous. She is.
An armed society is a polite society. When bad guys assume that everybody might be armed, it causes them to think differently about their activities.
A little bit safer. Laura, real quick, another topic I want to bring up. Did you see the sparring match that went on between Ron DeSantis of Florida and Jared Polis? Jared Polis talking about how they've used the weed money and the booze money, the pot money in Colorado to fix the roads. And people started replying and said, excuse me, Jared, the roads here suck. You're an idiot. Yes. And people were like, Jared, you might want to sit this one out. And even DeSantis was like, sounds like your roads aren't all that great, Jared. Is Jared just an idiot to know that that's probably not an argument he's going to win?
I think he doesn't understand how to read the room. You look at at what happened with the meat out day when his husband, who's a vegan, said, whatever day of that year it was, this is everybody don't eat meat today. This is meat out, without even thinking that Colorado is a major producer of lots of different meat products, and that caused a rebellion on the other side to have annual meat in days. There's one here in Elbert County at the Elizabeth Locker plant, and there's thousands of people there every year on meat in day. So yeah, I just don't know that he's great at reading the room. He and his husband live in this bubble where they only hang out with people that agree with them politically. Yeah. And yeah. So, but what I think is funny too, though, Jimmy, is Ron DeSantis's ability to troll his potential Democrat rivals on a future presidential stage, because he did that with Gavin Newsom, and they ended up having a debate, just the two of them. So I think DeSantis has some good political instincts
Yeah.
on who to, which bear to poke.
All right, real quick, I want to get to another topic here. And that topic is the conversation about the Department of Education. When the Trump administration first went into power, we heard a lot about DOGE. We heard a lot about want to close the Department of Education. A lot of that been distracted. The news cycle has moved on. But there is a story out there that you have forwarded me that goes back to this topic of eliminating the Department of Education. I know it's at townhall.com. We haven't talked about it in a while, but are we going to do it? Are we finally going to shut down that that bureaucracy?
Yeah, and it's a story I've kept an eye on since the beginning of the administration, because it's such an interesting topic. Republicans have been saying for decades, ever since the Department of Education was formed in the 70s, that it's not helpful. It's actually harmful, and we need to get rid of it. And it was one of Trump's first executive orders that we're going to get rid of it. Hired or appointed Linda McMahon to do that. And I like the idea of hiring somebody to get rid of her own job. It's always good. But where it was in the news today was there was a poll, and originally there were only 38%. If you say, hey, should we get rid of the Department of Education? 38% said, yes, we should. But when you inform them, and here's the key, because so many people, when you say Department of Education, so many people could think it's their state board of education, it's their local school district school board, and they just don't know the difference because they're normal people who don't pay attention to all of these things. So when they were informed on what happens, that the money stays in the state, it doesn't have to go to the feds and then get messed with and strings attached to it and bounced back to the states. When they understood what it really was, that approval goes from 38% to 51%. And so I think it's and by the way, yes, they're still pursuing that, getting rid of the Department of Education. There've been some other articles talking about the progress and that sort of thing. It's complex because it's a big old monster, and there's a lot of tentacles all around the country. Strings attached to the money and all of this stuff. So there's a lot that has to be unwound, but the administration is still committed to it. And it looks like public sentiment just in this poll is leaning toward it. And I think if there's much more discussion about it, that number, that 51%, will go up even further.
Laura Carno. Laura, this next Tuesday, I will not be doing the show. We will not be together. We'd have to do Monday or nothing next week, because this time next week, I'll be at the airport boarding a plane to fly to Rwanda for Rivers Promise. So next time I talk to you, if we don't talk sometime different next week, it will be from Rwanda, doing the show live there in 2 weeks. So
okay,
letting you know a little.
Okay, that's good.
You can still get paid for next week, by the way.
Okay, as long as I'm not losing any of my weekly pay.
No. As a matter of fact, for those people that showed up during the government shutdown on this program, we're going to double whatever they normally receive. We're going to give them a bonus. You're welcome.
Oh, nice. You're so generous. What a humanitarian you are.
I am. And that's why I'm going to Africa, to give away your bonus. FasterColorado.org, FasterColorado.org, FasterColorado.org. Jeff says, wise beyond your years.
Oh, I got a lot of years, Jeff.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, Laura. I was not going to say that.
60. I'm proud of every wrinkle. 61 years. Yes.
Oh, really? Don't look a day over 40.
60. Yeah.
40. Don't.
Yeah, it's because I color my hair. Let's be honest.
I wear a hat to cover my head because it's thinning out up there. Laura Carno, FasterColorado.org. Check out the work they do and go support them. Throw them a couple of bucks. They're a great charity organization in Colorado, keeping kids safe in the schoolhouse across the state. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Again, breaking news throughout the morning. The Epstein files are about to be released. I don't know if anything's going to new to be released. I think James Comer has said probably have released everything they can, so we'll find out. Let me bring in my next guest of the program, Dr. Carol Lieberman. It's been a while since we got to talk to the good doctor. She's known worldwide as America's psychiatrist, the terrorist therapist, the host of Dr. Carol's Couch on voiceamerica.com and the Terrorist Therapist podcast. Forensic psychiatrist, expert witness, best-selling, award-winning author of 4 books, 2 on terrorism, 2 on relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back the esteemed Dr. Carol Lieberman. Dr. Lieberman, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
A pleasure to have you here. I want to dive into a topic of conversation that's kind of strange in the fact that we're hear this story this morning that Miranda Devine tells in the New York Post reports that the Crooks assassination for the shot Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, was into what we call the furry community. And it turns out that the guy that allegedly shot Charlie Kirk and killed him was also in the furry community. We also have a lot of these school shooters recently that have been part of the transgender world or affected by that. Give me your thoughts. Why are we just now getting this information on 2 known or alleged assassins that kind of have some very strange proclivities, let's say?
Well, because either the FBI has been incompetent, or they do know all this information and they're just not telling. Really, there's a lot. I mean, I'm sure you probably talked about already the video that Tucker Carlson put out yesterday with someone had gotten a tip. There was someone who did a deep dive into his internet writings, his videos and posts and all that, and came up with a lot of information. And whereas the FBI had said there's nothing there, there's no there. And obviously this is wrong. There was someone who contacted him and seemed to be grooming him to be an assassin and so on. And his views towards Trump changed. He used to be a pro-Trump supporter. His family had Trump signs on their lawn. Do you remember? And then during COVID, he changed and he suddenly became anti-Trump. And he said that he didn't like that Trump was doing things too slow to fix the COVID problem. So probably someone he knew died of COVID, and maybe he's blaming Trump for this, when we all know it's Anthony Fauci who's to blame. Yeah. But anyway, and of course, and even going deeper, to the fact that he's involved in this furry community. Now, furries, there are some people who take part in the furry community who are relatively benign, innocent, and all of that. But yes, I don't think it's a coincidence that we have 2 assassins, or would-be assassin for Thomas Crooks, that are in that. And also it is aligned in some ways with the trans community. So first of all, at its basis, at its most basic point, looking at it most basically, however, people who are either become trans or people who are in the furry community, they have a very poor sense of self. They don't have an identity. They're not comfortable with their identity, and they're looking for another identity, whether it's another sex or an animal, but they are not comfortable in their own skin. And I'm sure you remember a couple of years ago, furries came into the news because there was a school, at least one, where they were putting litter boxes in the bathrooms. I'm sure you remember that, right?
I remember that, yeah.
And so then people began to look into furries and so on. I think I might have even been on your show talking about this at that time. So other than the litter boxes, it seemed like, they were trying to say, oh, it's just kids being kids. They're just playing. This is just another game and so on. But really, there's a darker side of furries. I mean, there's a sexual fetish side of furries. And particularly with Thomas Crooks and actually Tyler Robinson, they were really into online these sites, the pornographic sites. And I know with Tyler, he was really into this character, into this person who used to put online stories about a male adult who was giving some kind of pill to a little child and to make them like a date rape drug, and so that they could have more power over them. You may have heard of that.
No.
That, yes. And so, you have to put and now with Thomas Crooks, he apparently particularly liked looking at muscled men with heads of women. So you have to wonder, I mean, what it says to me is if someone told this to me in a session, I would think right away, you were probably sexually abused either by your muscled father or your mother, or some kind of combination. That's the first thought that one would have. Now, I don't know whether that actually happened to him, and we won't know. We could know if they did enough of an investigation. But the mother, I'm sure you'll remember this, after the attempted assassination, she was nowhere to be found. The father got accosted a couple of times at his home by press, but the mother totally disappeared. So, there could well be things that they're hiding.
Yeah, it really is bizarre. It really doesn't cause us to want to trust the government and the deep state, because the fact that it's taken this long. I mean, this Butler, Pennsylvania was 1.5 years ago, and now we're starting to learn a little bit more about Crooks. I'm guessing this is the work of Kash Patel and Pam Bondi finally coming clean about this.
No, it wasn't them. That's why I think it's maybe time for Trump to say to Kash Patel, you are fired. Because he hasn't come clean with this. It was someone who gave a tip to Tucker Carlson, and Tucker put up a video, and I actually tweeted the video yesterday or a couple of days ago. And it was a tip that someone gave Tucker. I mean, I don't really trust Tucker that much anymore now that he's revealed how anti-Israel he is, anti-Semitic he is, and he had Nick Fuentes on, so it's kind of a question mark over Tucker. But this video, shows these things, shows Thomas Crooks' posts and so on. So it seems pretty legit.
Yeah. Why do you think the FBI is not providing more information? What is, does someone have Kash Patel by the scruff of the neck? I mean, is there some underbelly still controlling the FBI? Is it so dark and scandalous that Kash Patel's looking at it going, oh, we can't let America know about that? They talk about transparency, but we're still not getting it. Why do you think that is?
That is the $64,000 question. I mean, I don't know, but I wonder if Trump knows the answer to that. If they're hiding all of this from Trump too. But, with Pam Bondi, it was kind of a similar thing where she supposedly had the Epstein files on her desk, and she gave some things to some so-called influencers, and then we never heard about that again. Now, I think the Epstein thing is like there's really no there. They're beating a dead horse. But they both were concealing things. So I don't think that the head of the FBI should be concealing things from the public. There's this whole thing going on it's a totally different topic, but there's this question of how much the government knows about UFOs and all that, and what they're now. People need to know these things, whatever it is. It's the same thing as when there's an attack, a terror attack, and they don't tell the public that it was a terrorist, or they don't show the person or tell the person's name, which might lead one to believe that he was a radical Islamist terrorist. This is no secrets.
Yeah. Dr. Carol Lieberman is my guest. Thousands of earballs will hear this show later on the podcast platform. Some of you, a lot of you watch it live on various streams that we're on live. We appreciate that. But on the podcast platforms will be thousands of earballs will join us and listen to the show in pre-recorded state. And Dr. Carol Lieberman is the voice that you hear. Dr. Lieberman, I want to come back to this furry thing, because it seems as if, first of all, there's a lot fewer new surveys show that fewer and fewer people are now identifying as trans. It's kind of like it was a trend and it's starting to decline. Have we just basically the last 3, 4, 5 years just enabled and promoted some kind of a mental delusion, mental illness that we're going to regret as a society? Because, we were told, don't say anything about the trans people. Let them go to school. Let the furries go to the school and have a litter box. what season were we in, and where are we headed here? Is the delusion finally falling apart here? I think it's mental illness.
Well, yeah, but who's mentally ill? The furry and the trans, or the people who allowed it?
All of the above. All of the above.
Yes, it's a very unfortunate, and I think in part, I think that it connects to, or it was facilitated by COVID, the COVID lockdowns, when kids weren't in school. And when they came back and they were feeling, not quite right because they hadn't had that socialization of 1 or 2 years that they were out of school, the teachers, radical leftist teachers, and I'm not saying all teachers are radical leftists, but they took advantage of this and told the kids that that what's wrong with them is that they were born into the wrong sex and into the wrong body, and if they just changed their body, then they would be happy. Everything would be great. And kids were sort of in a vulnerable state, so they tended to believe that. I mean, they were unhappy, they were lonely, they were mixed up, and so they tended to believe that. And of course now, and I think a big reason for why people may not be, and it's not just the teachers. I want to say this, it's also parents. A lot of times parents who either want to be considered cool, by their friends. Oh, I have a kid who's trans, we're with it. Or parents who unconsciously wanted a child of the other sex and are therefore secretly encouraging, hoping that their child will become the other sex.
Yeah.
That's all part of it too. So, but now that Trump has been trying to, bear down on clinics and so on, as he should. I mean, really, this is a doctor's bonanza. Yeah. I mean, insurance companies aren't paying doctors like they used to and like they should. And doctors are quitting and all of that. But here is a bonanza that just fell on their laps, and they're taking advantage of it. They're not really giving kids deep enough, long enough, and over enough period of time. Like gender dysphoria, you have to have these symptoms for at least 6 months. And there is no way that their quickie little interviews with kids, especially little kids, could prove to them that these kids meet the diagnostic classification of gender dysphoria. So they're just pushing kids on this conveyor belt, and they're making a lot of money as they're doing it.
Dr. Carol Lieberman is my guest. Dr. Lieberman, you've talked about it. I know you've even suggested that Trump derangement syndrome is a mental diagnosis that people ought to have. And then you've got this mental craziness of furries and transgender and teachers and administration sometimes pushing kids into even keeping secrets from their parents. We got a lot of mental illness that has broken out in the last, let's say, 5 or 6 years. Are we going to get past this? I mean, is it going to keep going? What's your prognosis? I mean, you're the person that gets to see people on the couch, and they get to tell you about their woes and issues. Are these great red flags of mental illness, Trump derangement syndrome, the transgender stuff? Is all that going to finally tamp down, or have we reached a new normal in society?
Well, just when you think Trump derangement syndrome may be tamping down, new things come up. Like now it's the Kings and the Epstein file.
Yeah.
That little fires come up again to set the whole thing ablaze. But are we going to get better? Well, we could get better. I mean, it's possible, but then we have to first fix the mental health system in America. And, to be able to provide enough psychiatrists, psychologists to people who need it, and yes, there are a lot more people who need it. I mean, that is the problem. When someone thinks they're a furry or that they're trans or, if there are psychological reasons for this, it's not like they swallowed something, or, it's not like something hit them in the head. There are psychological reasons for this. With trans, I mean, there is such a thing as authentic trans. I mean, these are people who have become trans because of hormones that were floating around their mother's body when they were in the womb, and because of the psychodynamics that they had, that there was in their household when they were very young with their mother and their father. So there is an authentic trans, but that's not what we have today. Most trans today are just have been sort of groomed to be trans. But so you can, you can look at the psychological reasons, like why did they able to be groomed to become trans? Like what was really going on? Did they have depression? Did they have bipolar disorder? Were they angry at their mother, angry at their father? You have to look at whatever the real reason is.
Yeah. Dr. Carol Lieberman, fascinating conversation. And God knows we need some mental health clarity in here. And I think COVID is right. That was a catalyst. I taught my son during that time a couple of times in life when he's kind of pulled back from friends or over something. I remind him that isolation breeds illusion. And I think you had a lot of kids that were isolated, maybe protective parents. We didn't have any COVID lockdown in my house. All the kids in the neighborhood could come over. It was no problem. But those parents that protected their kids, isolated them, illusion starts happening. And I've had to remind my sons, one of my great parenting advice to my son: isolation breeds illusion. You can't just in tough times walk away from friends. You got to get out there and get there. But that's part of the problem. It points back to Dr. Fauci. Everything points back to Fauci.
Yes. And why isn't he in jail yet? I don't know.
Didn't he get that pardon? I think he got that preemptive pardon, I guess. But it seems like
yes, from Biden, right?
Dr. Lieberman, you've got a couple of websites. Go ahead.
With an auto pen.
Yeah. Who signed the pardon? The machine did, but it's still a pardon. How that hasn't been overthrown, I don't understand. Dr. Lieberman, you've got a couple of websites. People can follow your work. You've got a couple of podcasts. I never know which one is the one you want to push today, so I'll let you kind of tell us which one it is.
Well, let's see. Well, since we've been talking about furries and all that and assassinations, I'll give out my expert witness forensic psychiatrist.com. I work as an expert witness and on cases, testifying in cases. So expert witness forensic psychiatrist.com. And then, of course, on my Twitter, Dr. Carol MD, which is DrCarole MD. I always rant on there, and I have Tucker's video on there and lots of other good stuff. Yeah, there we go.
Dr. Carol MD, right across the screen. It's right on cue because we have a highly trained and technical crew here. And if you're listening on the podcast version, thousands of earballs aren't going to see that because you're only hearing it in your earballs, not your eyeballs. It's Dr. Carol with an E and then MD. DrCarole MD. Dr. Carol MD. Dr. Carol, it's been a pleasure to have you here on the program. It's been a while. We'll get you back on here real soon. But now you're in California. You're not in New York, right?
I was born and bred in New York, but I live in California currently.
Because I was thinking I should ask you about the Kami Mamdani, but you've escaped.
Well, no, I know all about Mamdani because, I pay a lot of attention to what's going on in New York. I mean, that's why I became the terrorist therapist after 9/11. My heart is still in New York. But yes, New York, my heart bleeds for New Yorkers, although they were stupid enough to vote him in. I don't get it. New Yorkers were smart when I lived there. I don't know what happened.
Well, when you dropped the IQ got slashed immediately. You left, the IQ went down. That was all you. You were holding that thing up.
There we go. I don't know. I wish someone would investigate the voting. I think there was something phony and funny with the election. I don't know why that hasn't come up. Haven't heard about people investigating it.
People get what they voted for, and they're going to get a taste of socialism and communism, and you never know. Maybe that's the dose of the medicine that they need to realize this stuff doesn't work. Sometimes as a child, it took a little corporal punishment for me to get my attention, and New Yorkers may be in for some corporal political punishment. Dr. Lieberman, it's a pleasure. I appreciate it. Dr. Carol, MD, on the X feed. Thanks for hopping on the program. Dr. Carol Lieberman, look up her podcast as well. Find her. She's on the web. Just Google her. And she's got some great podcasting out there. And there's great websites as well. And great material out there. And some great books as well. Dr. Carol Lieberman, my guest this morning. All right. I do want to review this real quick. And then we're going to wrap this thing up. But this battle between Ron DeSantis, and I alluded to it, battle between Ron DeSantis and Jared Polis. And if you haven't followed it, it's really funny. You can find the whole story if you're in Colorado. Go to completecolorado.com, and you can see the story. It came out on my birthday, and I didn't get to comment because I was off on my birthday. My birthday was November 13th. If you didn't send a gift to me or to the charity, there's still time. Say it's a late birthday. We do accept that. Let me just read the story. It's written at completecolorado.com by Savannah Kasich. An online beef erupted between Colorado Governor Jared Polis and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis Wednesday evening on X, previously known as Twitter. How long do we have to say that? I guess forever. Over legalized marijuana in Colorado's poor road conditions. In a thread of post, the Florida governor named Ron DeSantis said Colorado's declining marijuana taxes have not helped alleviate anything for the state. Rather, the recent decrease in marijuana sales is due to a surge in the black market caused by high taxes on legal weed. So Ron DeSantis says, hey, Colorado's getting fewer and fewer taxes every year on marijuana. It's because they've taxed it so much that people are buying it back in the black market. They're not going to the dispensaries. The claims led Jared Polis to jump into the conversation, and he wanted to climb the water tower of Twitter and defend his own record with a spray paint can. The battle at the keyboard started from a post made by the Florida's Voice, highlighting a survey saying a majority of Floridians want the right to vote on marijuana legalization themselves and not have lawmakers block the ballot. So while Floridians have already voted no on marijuana legalization in 2024, a new measure is creeping its way into the ballot in 2026, and DeSantis and his administration have made efforts to stop it before it goes to the ballot. So some X users commented, didn't we already vote no on this? It's bogus. They're making it better while still baking in corporate profit through licensure. One user makes the claim that taxing legalized marijuana would allow the state to eliminate property taxes. DeSantis then brings Colorado into this conversation. In the Twitter post, he jumps in and says, well, this has not been the case in Colorado. He says, it went on to say that tax revenue of marijuana sales have fallen due to inflation of black market activity. And then Polis jumps in and says, Colorado has collected $3 billion in marijuana revenue that has been used to pave roads, build recreation centers, and school, all while successfully cracking down on the underground market. This is what Polis posted. Oh, and we didn't use $50 million in taxpayer dollars to block access to freedom, but you do you, he said as a final jab to the Florida governor. Well, that turned into a deluge of X users slamming Polis as he claims about Colorado road conditions being good. Twitter feeds went, and yet your Colorado roads are a disaster and your budget is too. Maybe sit this one out, Jared. Another Twitter X responder said, you collected the money, but it was never used to pave our roads, build rec centers, and so much more. Our roads are abysmal. Where did the money go, Polis? Maybe you should sit this one out. Ongoing advice for Jared. I haven't seen a penny's worth of improvement, said one person. From all the marijuana tax revenues, Colorado's been in a state of steady decline and decay. DeSantis gets the final word before Jared finally clues up and shuts his pie hole. DeSantis responds to Polis with a screenshot of the Denver Post article that came out in March of this year that says Colorado backslides to 43rd in the National Road Condition Coalition rankings. If you think I'm making it up that Colorado roads suck and Jared Polis sucks as a governor and Jared Polis is a lying Sacagawea for saying that the Colorado roads have improved because of marijuana sales, even the Denver Post reports that the national rankings show that Colorado is like in the bottom 10 of the 50 states. We have sucky roads, sucky infrastructure, and Jared Polis is a lying Sacagawea for ever trying to imply anything else. DeSantis screenshot the Denver Post article and said, $3 billion over more than a decade is chump change. I have cut more than $7 billion in taxes in half that time. But then, even then, seems like Colorado's roads have a lot to be desired. At that point, Jared Polis shut his pie hole, realizing that he was exposed for the fraudster and shyster that he is as the governor. And DeSantis's claims are not misguided. Previously reported by Complete Colorado, Colorado receives a C- for overall infrastructure in the 2025 infrastructure report and a D+ on road quality. So anybody out there that thinks we're just attacking Jared and the roads are actually great here, I'm sorry. It's not. They're horrible. And Jared Polis is a lying, again, Sacagawea. DeSantis versus Polis. This one goes to Mr. DeSantis. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, time for the meme roulette section of the show. But before I do, I want to remind you about Sherry Cree, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. You ready for this? Homeswithsherry.com. You ready? You got to call her. I know it's holiday season. You're not thinking about selling your home right now, but there's never too early to, there's never too much time to, or the wrong time to make a phone call. Again, maybe you're not going to sell your house till next year. Maybe you're not buying a home, selling a home until next year, but have that strategy session, because the time of year, the time of the month, the time of the season that you do it can change the entire strategy. Just a flip of a month in a calendar can take things from a buyer's market to a seller's market. Which one do you want to participate in? The interest rate changes can change things from seller's market to buyer market to seller's market. You need to know that part of the strategy. So it's not about, well, I'll get to it when I get to it. Make top dollar on your home. Get the best price on the home you buy. And that's what Sherry wants to help you navigate. A lot of you do have a strict time crunch on when you want to close and when you can move. But if you have some flexibility, either way, just call Sherry, have that strategy session. And that way you can start preparing, even if your sale of the house is going to come, or purchase of the home is going to come in 2026. That's okay. Have the strategy session with Sherry now. Homeswithsherry.com. She believes and she knows through experience and helping a lot of folks that your real estate transaction can be that one thing in your life that can create an amazing amount of generational wealth for your children, your grandchildren, and future generations if you do it right. So do it right, my friends. It's not just about buying a home. It's investing in future generations in your family. It's not just about selling your home. It's getting the top dollar that can be invested back in generational wealth for you and your family. Homeswithsherry.com, the I-25 corridor from Fort Collins all the way down to the Denver, into the Highlands Ranch area, the Park Meadows area, out to Aurora, out to up to Longmont, Boulder, Broomfield, Wellington, Windsor. Hello, she can help you. And by the way, she also has a free referral service. So if you're outside of her area, she can refer to you someone that's just as quality as she is, and that's absolutely free. And a portion of all of her proceeds on the commission, she will donate a portion of that back to the charity of your choice. That's just the kind of good heart that Sherry has. Homeswithsherry.com. I know you're thinking of selling and buying. If you are, you're going to interview some realtors. Listen, don't just go with the person that lives next door to you or the person who helped you last time. Make the strategic decision to get the best of the best in your corner, because this is a big time transaction, whether you're buying or selling. Homeswithsherry.com is right there on the screen. Homeswithsherry.com. Sherry Cree, she'll be back on the show with us this Friday. Homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. And be sure now to tell her that you heard about her on this program, homeswithsherry.com. You owe it to yourself and your future generations to call her and talk about real estate strategies with her. Homeswithsherry.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the stolen memes section of the show. This is where we go around the globe and we steal memes shamelessly. Intellectual theft is what we do, mocking the Chinese and their intellectual property violations they do. If they can do it, we can too. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Stop the oligarchy. Stop the oligarchy. And there they are, the 2025 socialists right there eating lobster. Had to look at that. What was that they're eating? I was hoping it's chicken fried steak. I had to put lobster on there. Stop the oligarchy. There they are. Let them eat cake. Round and round the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. When older people say enjoy them while they're young, they're talking about your knees and your hips, not your kids. You know, I've got good knees and good hips. And every birthday, I do say, thank you, God, that I'm still in, I'm working to trim down a couple of pounds. But other than that, thank God I've been blessed with good health. Knees and hips. Some of you are like, yeah, I enjoyed them when I was young, and now I don't. Yeah, I know some of you. Right around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. You liberals will be happy to know that my guns are liberal too. Yeah, my guns sit around all day in their safe space doing absolutely nothing. They refuse to work unless someone else feeds them. And yes, they are triggered. Yeah, don't mess with me. That's all I can say. Round and round the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No, it was bad. I love this one. They brainwashed you. Really? Look at the uniforms there. Black Lives Matter, all the social media, the trans and LGBTQRSTUV WXYZ flag behind him. And the guy that has a turning point in the MAGA hat says, really? They brainwashed me? Yeah, I think not. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. There's Chucky Schumer. Trump is a dictator, says the party that wants to decide if a baby should live, how much money you should earn, what energy sources you can use, and what words you can say. And they want to decide if you should own a gun. But hey, it's Trump who's a dictator. That's bull crap. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Teenagers struggling to stay awake after only getting 14 hours of sleep. Yeah, I know that fact. I flew out to see my son. I was like, what time are we meeting up for breakfast? I'm in a hotel. He's in his dorm, and I leave for breakfast. He goes, oh, what about 12? I'm like, 12? That's lunch. That's not breakfast. Gotta sleep, Dad. Gotta sleep. Okay. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Here we go. Family Circus. I used to love this cartoon. He said, go Chiefs. So I popped his his ass, his butt, his B-I-T, which rhymes with which. That's funny. That's funny. Oh, we didn't do this. We'll do it tomorrow. Most hated NFL teams. Has done a survey. Most hated NFL teams in America. And I don't think you'll be surprised of the Devils who are on the top of that list. Do it tomorrow. We don't have time today. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. There's the gong from China. That means we have stolen all the intellectual property that we have available to us today. But tomorrow we will let you know about the top NFL teams that are most hated. And I got a question about gravy at KFC. That's coming up tomorrow. And I also, by the way, PSA, producer Chad pointed this out. If you have not started thawing your turkey, you might want to do so. It takes 4 or 5 days for a turkey to thaw out in the refrigerator. And producer Chad's got to put his in a brine by next Tuesday. And so today, producer Chad, picture Elmer Fudd. He's going to have the little warm hat with the floppy ears and a shotgun. And he's going to go to the local grocery store and he's going to go turkey hunting in the frozen section. So if you see Elmer Fudd at the grocery store later today, that's actually producer Chad. And he's going to be hunting turkey at the grocery store today. So if you need to thaw your turkey out, don't wait too late to thaw your turkey. All right? Yeah. Thaw your turkey. That's your advice for the day. Never thought I'd give that advice on the program, but I just did. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, well, we got some a lot of interesting conversations going on in the chat room. Evidently, we attracted the crazies today in the ever-growing audience of the Lakey Unleashed program. It's been a pleasure, my friend. Tomorrow. Rivers promise a lot of you are now. I'm not pushing it too hard yet, but we're going to hit it. I'm not to pressure you, but let you know. 1 week from today, I will actually be airborne on the first leg of my journey to head back to Rwanda, and I'd love to have you help me buy Christmas gifts for the kids and help the children out there. Feed a child, $30 feeds a kid. 2 meals a day for 1 entire month through Rivers Promise. $10 buys them a new uniform for school when they wear those things out. You get the idea. Whatever amount you want to give, and we're going to put it towards Christmas and spreading the Christmas message during the Christmas season. And I'll be doing some shopping next week when I'm there, so helping the kids. So make a donation. Thank you to all of you who have. We'll start running down some of those names tomorrow. Riverspromise.org. Riverspromise.org. Until we meet again tomorrow morning, may God bless you. May God bless America. I am Jimmy Lakey. Peace. I'm watching these comments. Crazy. I'm out of here. Let's go.